Have you ever felt like you're the one holding yourself back? You had the plan, you had the goal, you were this close to success. And then something inside whispered, "Are you sure you're ready? What if you fail? What if you're not enough?" It doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. Rohn once said, "The walls we build to protect ourselves can also become the prisons that hold us back." Think about that. How many dreams have you delayed? Not because others said no, but because you never said yes to yourself? We call it procrastination. We call it overthinking. We call it fear of failure. But at its root, it's self-sabotage. It's the invisible resistance that shows up every time we get close to real change. And here's the hard truth. You cannot outperform your self-image. If deep down you believe you're not worthy of success, you'll find a way to block it. If you carry the story that "I always mess it up at the last minute," your actions will prove that story true. This talk isn't about fixing your habits. It's about healing your hidden beliefs. Because until you rewire your inner narrative, you'll keep rebuilding the same limits with different words. So let me ask you, what belief has been quietly shaping your life? Not the loud one you tell the world, the quiet one you whisper to yourself when no one's listening. In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover it, unlearn it, and begin designing a new one, not just for motivation, but for liberation. Because true change doesn't come from pressure, it comes from permission. Let's begin. Let's go inward, let's go deeper, and let's rewire together. Let's take a deeper breath. Because what we're about to explore is not about laziness, or lack of discipline, or motivation. It's about how sometimes the enemy we're fighting is living quietly inside our own mind. Have you ever been so close to success, a project almost finished, a dream nearly realized, a door nearly opened, and then suddenly you stop, you delay, you overthink, you disappear from your own momentum, and you don't know why? You tell yourself, maybe I need more time, maybe I need more clarity, but if you're honest, you're scared, not of failing, but of actually succeeding. Because success comes with visibility, vulnerability, responsibility. It comes with the risk of losing the old version of yourself, the one that hides, that plays safe, that doesn't have to be seen. This is self-sabotage, and it shows up in many forms. Let me walk you through a few. Procrastination. You tell yourself you work best under pressure, but deep down, you're avoiding the weight of commitment. Perfectionism. You call it high standards, but underneath, it's the fear that anything less than perfect makes you unworthy. Imposter syndrome. You're waiting to be found out. You discount every achievement as luck. These are not flaws. These are protectors. Outdated defense mechanisms your mind built to keep you safe from pain, rejection, shame. But the problem? They don't just protect you from danger, they also block you from growth. Rohn once said, "You cannot outperform your self-image." Read that again. You cannot outperform your self-image. No matter how hard you work, how many habits you build, if deep down you believe you're not worthy of more, you'll find a way to sabotage the very thing you said you wanted. It's like trying to climb a mountain with a parachute that keeps pulling you back down, not because of the slope, but because of the story. The story you keep repeating, "I never finish things. I'm not cut out for this. I always ruin good opportunities." These stories may not be spoken aloud, but they echo in your choices, in your pauses, in your patterns. And here's where it gets deeper. Many people are more afraid of success than failure, because failure confirms the story. See, I knew I wasn't enough. But success challenges it. It demands a new narrative, a new identity. And let's be honest, new identities are uncomfortable because they require you to let go of the old one, the familiar one, the one you've rehearsed your whole life. So here's the question, are you resisting change or grieving the version of you who didn't believe it was possible? That resistance you feel, it's not weakness, it's grief. Grief for the safety of the old you. And unless we name it, understand it, and heal it, we'll keep calling it procrastination. So how do we break the cycle? We start by seeing our self-sabotage not as rebellion, but as protection. It was built to shield you, but now it's holding you back. You don't need to fight it, you need to thank it. And then replace it with a new belief, a new story, a new self-image. Imagine this: a person climbing a steep hill. They're tired, breathless, burdened, but on their back, a heavy backpack filled with fears. Fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of outgrowing their circle. And here's the twist: that backpack isn't real. It's made of beliefs, invisible, but heavy as stone. To go further, faster, you don't need stronger legs. You need a lighter story. So ask yourself, what belief am I carrying that no longer fits the life I want to build? Write it down, look at it, breathe through it, and then ask, is this mine, or was it inherited? Because many of our limits were never chosen. They were downloaded from parents, teachers, culture, trauma. But here's the liberating truth: if it was learned, it can be unlearned. If it was built, it can be rebuilt. And that's what rewiring is all about. Not fighting your mind, but reteaching it. Not erasing your story, but editing it. So here's what I invite you to do today. Don't try to be fearless. Just get curious. Curious about your patterns, your stories, your reactions. Because awareness is the first break in the loop. And from that break, you can step out, step forward, step free. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to be less. So breathe, reflect, and remember, you are not your self-sabotage. You are the awareness behind it. You are the author of a new belief, and that belief starts now. Let's pause, let's breathe, let's step into a different kind of space. Not the space of doing, but the space of becoming. Because rewiring your thinking isn't about adding more effort, it's about changing the source code, the foundation, the philosophy. Jim Rohn said it best: success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Not miracles, not motivation, but discipline, simple, daily, anchored in belief. So today, we go beyond hacks, we go beneath habits, we dive into the beliefs that built the behavior. And I want to offer you 3 foundational philosophies to rewire your mind and stop self-sabotage. Each one is like a beam that reshapes your mental structure. Each one will help you think differently so you can act differently. 1. Belief creates behavior. Every action you take is rooted in a belief you carry. You hit snooze because you believe sleep is more urgent than the goal. You say yes to something you resent because you believe your voice isn't worthy of no. You quit halfway because deep down you believe success is for someone else. This is why you can't simply change your actions. You must first examine your beliefs. Ask yourself, what belief is driving this behavior? Let's go deeper. When Jim Rohn said, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight, he was pointing to belief. Direction is a choice. A choice is powered by belief. If you believe you're capable, you begin. If you believe you're unworthy, you delay. That's why the most powerful shift you can make today is not in what you do, but in what you believe is possible. And here's the truth. Most of your beliefs weren't chosen. They were absorbed from childhood, culture, trauma, environment. But the moment you see them, you can shift them. So ask, what belief did I inherit that no longer serves the life I want to live? When you change your belief, your actions begin to flow from a different place, a freer place, a stronger place. And the voice that once said, I always mess it up, begins to whisper, this time I can follow through. 2. Emotion follows story. Jim Rohn taught that your feelings don't just appear, they are born from the stories you tell yourself. Feeling anxious? Maybe it's because you're telling yourself, if I fail, I'll be humiliated. Feeling unmotivated? Perhaps the story is, no matter what I do, it won't make a difference. Your emotional reality is the echo of your narrative. So what if you could change the story? Not with false positivity, but with honesty and intention. Instead of I always ruin opportunities, you say, I'm learning how to stay with success. Instead of I don't belong here, you say I'm building my capacity to feel worthy. See, changing your story isn't lying. It's editing. It's taking back the pen. And when you change the story, your emotions shift. You feel lighter, more centered, more in control. Jim often said, "Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations are high." Let's apply that inward. Don't repeat easy stories. Repeat empowering ones. Stories that grow you, stretch you, challenge you. And when the old emotional loops show up, pause, smile, and say, "Ah, that's the old story. I'm writing a new one now." But 3, environment reinforces identity. We like to think we are our own masters, but truthfully, we are products of environment. Jim Rohn said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Now let's expand that. You are the average of your inputs, your spaces, your rituals. Look around. Is your environment designed for growth or for escape? If you're constantly surrounded by chaos, distraction, criticism, your nervous system adapts to survival. But if you create an environment that reflects the person you want to be, you start acting like that person. Environment isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's digital, it's relational. Who are you listening to? What do you allow in your feed? What habits does your space reinforce? To rewire your mind, you must redesign your world, one shelf at a time, one playlist at a time, one boundary at a time. It's not about control, it's about intention. And when your outer world supports your inner growth, you don't have to force change, it flows. Let's bring this together. Belief creates behavior. Emotion follows story. Environment shapes identity. These are not theories. These are tools. Tools to unbuild what no longer serves and to rebuild what your future needs. Jim Rohn didn't just teach motivation. He taught alignment, not hype, but philosophy. So let this be your practice today. Choose one belief to shift. Choose one story to edit. Choose one environment to clean, design, or protect. And remember, you don't have to do it all today. You just have to begin. Because the greatest rewiring of your mind won't be a dramatic moment. It'll be a quiet decision, repeated daily. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. With each belief, with each thought, with each small act of alignment. Let today be the first brick, and let Jim's wisdom be your blueprint. So far, we've gone deep. We've uncovered the hidden roots of self-sabotage. We explored the inner architecture, your beliefs, your stories, your environment. But insight alone is not enough. It must become action. Because transformation only happens when insight turns into rhythm, into repetition, into something your nervous system can feel and trust. So now let's get practical. Let's get honest. Let's get gentle. I'm not here to give you 50 new habits. I'm here to offer you 3 small, powerful practices. 3 actions that don't require willpower or perfection. Only your presence, your curiosity, your courage. These 3 steps are designed to rewire your thinking, not someday, but starting today. Ready? Let's begin. Let's begin. Action 1, the daily belief audit. Every day, your mind runs on a quiet background script. You may not hear it, but it shapes your tone, your energy, your choices. So we begin by shining a light on it. Take 5 minutes, every evening. Ask yourself, what belief guided most of my actions today? Maybe it was, if I slow down, I'll fall behind. I have to prove myself to be loved. I'm never consistent. Or maybe, I can trust my pace. I have value even when I rest. I'm learning to follow through. There's no judgment here, just awareness. Write down the belief. Put it on paper, not in your mind, on the page, because what you can see, you can shape. This isn't journaling for performance. It's observation for healing. You're not writing a story, you're revealing a pattern. And over time, you'll begin to notice the same belief showing up over and over. Some days you'll rewrite it, some days you'll just witness it. But with each reflection, your mind begins to say, we don't have to think this forever. Let this be your first daily discipline, the daily belief audit. 5 minutes, 1 question, 1 truth. Action 2, positive override practice. Now that we're observing beliefs, let's train the brain to reframe them. not with fake mantras, but with intentional, believable shifts. Every time you catch a self-defeating thought, you pause, breathe, and gently rewrite it. Pause 1.5s. Example, I always give up becomes I'm learning how to finish. I'm not good enough becomes I'm building the version of me who believes I am. This will never work becomes let's see what happens when I give it one more honest try. Here's the trick. The new thought must feel possible. Not perfect, not polished, just believable. Because the brain won't accept a lie, but it will lean toward a new perspective if it feels like safety. As 1.5s, write your overrides on sticky notes, on your phone screen, on your mirror, anywhere that reminds you you are allowed to think differently. This is daily training, neural repetition, rewiring in real time, and like any training, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be consistent. Action 3. Micro-exposure to what you avoid. This one's tender, because this is where the transformation accelerates. Every day, do one small thing that makes you slightly uncomfortable, but aligns with your future self. Not overwhelm, just expansion. If you tend to avoid initiating conversations, send one message. If you avoid setting boundaries, practice saying no with love. If you avoid being seen, share one honest thought. This is called micro-exposure. You're gently exposing your nervous system to the experience of being brave. You're showing your body, we can survive this. We can stay present here. We don't need to run. Over time, the fear loses its grip, and the future, the one you thought was too far, begins to feel like home. You don't need to leap, you just need to lean. One moment of exposure, one moment of courage, every day. Let's bring this together. These are your 3 daily anchors. 1. Belief audit. 2. Positive override. 3. Micro-exposure. You don't need to master them all today, you just need to begin. Because rewiring doesn't happen through pressure. It happens through presence, not through punishment, but through pattern. So write, reframe, lean into the edge of who you're becoming. And when you miss a day, begin again, gently, with grace. This isn't a program, it's a rhythm. It's the music of change. It starts soft, but over time, it becomes the soundtrack of your transformation. You are not stuck, you are rewiring, one belief, one breath, one brave act at a time. Let this be your practice, let this be your proof, let this be your next step. Today, let's take one last breath together. Because before this talk ends, I want to give you something to begin. Not another strategy, but a choice, a commitment, a quiet turning point. Rohn once said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. We started this journey with a question. Why do we self-sabotage? And we uncovered this truth. Because our beliefs are outdated, because our identity is unfinished, because our philosophy was never chosen, it was inherited. But today, that changes. Today, you take authorship of your philosophy, of your focus, of your future. Not all at once, but one belief at a time, one action at a time, one return to self at a time. Here's your line. Write it, say it, keep it. I choose to become someone who follows through, one small act at a time. Let that be your anchor. Let that be your compass. Let that be your rhythm. Because you're not here to chase perfection. You're here to come back to intention. And here's a deeper truth. Self-sabotage is not a flaw. It's a flag, a signal, a whisper from your nervous system that says, I need safety before I can grow. So instead of force, offer grace. Instead of guilt, offer guidance. Instead of saying, why can't I stay consistent? Ask, what belief am I repeating, and is it still true? You don't need to believe everything your fear says. You just need to listen, then respond with truth. So let me offer you one final frame. When you feel stuck, come back to your rhythm. When you feel scattered, come back to your breath. When you feel broken, come back to your beliefs. Because who you become is not determined by what happens to you, but by the philosophy you choose to carry through it all. So let me end with a line I hope you take with you into tomorrow, into your habits, into the mirror. Focus is not a state, it's a choice, daily. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to write this in the comments or whisper it to yourself. Today, I return to my focus, and I begin again. Not because everything is fixed, but because you are rebuilding. One thought, one breath, one bold moment at a time. So now, the mic is yours, the mirror is yours, the next step also yours. Let this be the end of self-sabotage and the beginning of your philosophy of follow-through. I'll leave you with one last invitation. Comment below, I choose to begin again, and then walk that truth forward every day. With clarity, with grace, with courage. This is not goodbye, this is a beginning.